it's still fairly early stages, so everyone's got examples where people have used their smartphones or their tablets to play along with a particular quiz show or maybe to vote on a show. So we can see early examples of these sorts of services. Where it can go, I think, pretty much everyone's got a smartphone now. So around 60% of adults have got smartphones, and that's just increasing. People have got tablets. People are using Twitter and Facebook and applications while they're watching TV shows. So consumers are doing this more. There's a lot more demand from broadcasters and also from production companies when they're developing TV ideas. They're not just thinking about how to broadcast it, but they're also thinking about how can we involve the audience and interact. So really, it's very difficult to predict ahead, but it's really where, as much as good as people's imaginations are. So you can imagine shows where kids want to rush home from school because they're not just sitting in front of the telly watching it, but they're going to compete in a quiz with their mates against other teams from around the country, or rush downstairs on a Saturday morning to decide who gets chucked in the gunge pit and who doesn't. Quiz shows, interaction with political debates, interaction with chat shows, so you've got real live audience interaction. So anything really where you've got a live audience interaction with a TV format, so the possibilities are endless. We don't have a clear exit plan, so we don't have something where we want to get out in 5 years, or we want to do this, that and the other. So we're right now, I want to build a business. I want to build a successful business so that we work with good partners in the industry, we have a good team of people, and then we'll really see where that takes us. So we're currently working in the UK, and we're talking to potential clients in Germany and Holland. So there's potential for international expansion. We want to build a successful business. So I think key thing is attracting people who are excited by working for a startup where you have the opportunity to shape something and create it together as a team of people. So I think attracting the right people and then creating a culture where we trust people to bring their own skills and their own experience into the business to help so they can be involved in actually shaping the business. So I think that's fundamental to the culture.
Very much looking at I've got one sort of arm in biz dev, but I've also had so much experience producing games and ancillary products around TV shows and especially with a broadcast compliance point of view, that's what I'm bringing in. So it's very important not just to have a really good product and user experience, but something that actually is going to work for broadcasters, is going to be compliant, that consumers are going to enjoy and know that it's a trusted thing that they're using as well. So you need to make sure that the TV shows you're working with, you're not spoiling anything against trusted brands and well-loved, long-running TV shows.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point about trust. It's often underestimated that TV interactivity, can be seen as something fairly flippant. It isn't. So what you're doing when you're interacting with a talent show or a voting show is you're actually influencing the outcome of that show. Quite often you're paying for it as well. So if you're voting on X Factor, it costs 35p. So there's a contract between the viewer as a consumer and the product that they're buying. So it's very important. Compliance is hugely important, and it's a very regulated industry. And that was one of the sort of founding principles of the business, is to provide reliable technology that can scale and can ensure that the broadcaster is operating in a compliant manner. And that was fundamental. One of the things we did very early on, which is quite unusual for a small business or a startup, is we went through the ISO 27001 data security standards, which is quite a challenge. About one of the early challenges. It's quite challenging to go through that as a startup business, but we did that because we recognise that data security is hugely important for our customers. And as we develop as a business, we'll be handling personal data, from consumers, and data that needs to remain secure. So we sort of try to take the principles as working as a big business into our small, startup, that specialises around this very specific area of TV interactivity. Having very patient people around you is a really good start, because you have to work long hours, and it is hard work, and there's lots of demands on people around you, your family and your friends, and the pressure you put on co-workers and the collective pressure you put on each other. So I think having patient people around you, having people who back you and support you and sort of believe in the principles that you're trying to work to is important. I think the other thing is honesty. Is just being honest with each other about what our skills and experience are. Asking for help when you need it. Where you're struggling, look for help. And being honest with people you're working with directly and people around you, I think is really, really important. And then you build that trust up. I think it can only work on that basis. Just for people watching this, when it isn't March 2013, this was the coldest March in, 50 years?
Long time.